Most people think they're stuck in life, but the truth is much weirder. What's actually happening is that you are a level 100 player trying to play the game with a level 1 character traits. Your current personality, your fears, your belief systems, the capacity that you're able to think at, what feels safe to your nervous system, the way you react to stress. All of those traits and pieces of you create the character which you're playing in life right now, which is creating the results that you have. So if you want a different life, you have to stop trying to change the game itself and start manually upgrading the character you're playing with. And today, that's exactly what I'm going to show you, how to change the character so you can truly upgrade your personal life. So if you're here for business success, if you're here for relationship success, if you're here just because you simply want to upgrade your life, this is going to be the video for you today. So in your life, you might be feeling this way right now, where maybe you're playing at about 25%. And when I say 25% is that maybe you have these big dreams, these ideas in your mind, these big goals and desires that you really want to accomplish, but right now your life is here at 25%. And the dreams, the goals, they're at 100%. And you're wondering, is this it? Is this just the way I am? Is this just the way the hand I was dealt in life? Am I going to be stuck this way? Or is it even ever possible to accomplish those dreams? Or are they just that, just dreams? Well, here is how we're going to break this down today. What if I told you that the character you're playing is not the full you? Here's how it works. This is you right here on the left side, who you really are. And let's say you chose the character who is at 25% to play in the game of life, or you didn't choose, maybe that was programmed into you growing up, and that is the character who you're playing now in your life. This character, the success they want is at level 100, but this character is only at 25%. So imagine you're trying to play this game and you're beating these bosses, and the bosses require you to be at a level 100 to beat them to really get through the game. But you're only choosing the character that has the 25% upgraded stats. You never upgraded your stats. What's going to happen? The game is going to be so hard to play. The game is going to be so hard to play, and you're going to lose over and over again. And eventually, you're going to start questioning yourself like, am I just not good enough for this game? Can I just not do this? Is it just luck? Like, why can't I beat this game? But the truth is, what we need to upgrade is we don't need to change the game. We need to change the character who we're choosing. And once we upgrade the character, then we can handle the game much easier, right? So you choose character 100%. Now their stats are upgraded. So now they can handle the game much better and get what they actually want out of it. Again, life is just life. How you show up and react to life depends on who you are. Two people can be given the same situation. One of them can make it into something beautiful, and one of them can make it into something absolutely horrible. And it depends on the creator, the one who is choosing the character. So think of it like this, okay? Same creator. This is you. Same creator, same powers, same ability, same game. The same game is going on, the same game of life. But what we chosen was a new character. And by choosing a new character, we are able to get the things that we wanted. So how does this work? First of all, what most people do here, guys, when it comes to trying to upgrade your life, when it comes to trying to accomplish more success, what most people do is number one is they want the game to change. Okay, they want the game itself to change. They complain, they don't like it, but they don't actually make any changes. They end up staying stuck. The second one is they give up. They give up. They get too beaten down. They get too bored of the game. It becomes too heavy for them, and they give up and they stay stuck. The third is they'll try harder. They'll try to find cheat codes, cheat pathways to get through the game. They will work, they'll grind themselves out, they'll hustle more. But guess what? Usually they overall still find themselves stuck in the end as well. So, how do we truly transform our character so that way we can actually change our success in the game, right? Because again, if you don't change the character, you can work harder. You can go harder. You can hustle harder. You can do more things. But if you still have the same stats, you will not be able to think outside of the box. You will not be able to act consistently in the right direction for a long enough period to get to where you want to go. So, the real thing that we must do here is understanding how this all works, how we function as people, how our brain works, how our mind works, how to truly, truly make changes in our lives. So here's how I want you to think about it. Okay. When I say the game, think of the game as the level of success you accomplish in your life. And the character you're choosing in the game, think of that as your personal identity. And the creator, the person playing the game itself, think of that as you, the real you though. Okay, the creator of your life. And here's one thing I will say is you do not want to be fooled. And when I say fooled, what I mean is don't buy into the trap. The trap is the victim mentality. The trap is that I can't change characters. This is just the cards I was dealt with in life. I'm stuck, and this is just how things are. What's happening there, though, is that you are limited. Okay, thinking like that makes us limited to our belief system. Okay, it limits us to our belief system, which means we cannot step outside the box, which means we cannot change. Do not buy into the victim mentality because you cannot change anything that is outside of you. But once you're able to take ownership responsibility, once you're able to really realize who you actually are, that you are not the character, you are the creator itself, you are the one playing the entire game, and that you can change, that is where your true power gets unleashed. That is where you can actually make real massive leaps of success, make real massive leaps of change in your life. So, breaking this down, the first thing to understand is that the character, this who we think we are, right? This is what who a lot of us think we are in this game of life is we think we are the character itself. I'm just not strong enough. I'm just not good enough. I'm just not smart enough. I'm just not worthy enough. I'm not lucky enough. All these things is the character you're playing. Those thoughts that you have, that is an idea of the character you're playing. So most of us, we buy into that this is me, but it's not. The real you is the person playing the game itself. The real you is the one who chose that character, who can change that character if they wanted to. That is the real you. And here's how I'd like to explain it. Is your character is your identity. Okay? Your character is your identity. Identity is who you believe you are. And your identity was created from past emotions and thoughts that were held together over time. Identity is who I believe I am. So if I constantly think and feel a certain way, my brain cannot determine if that is reality or imagination. It just feels it and experiences it in real time. So the more and more that I think about some certain thoughts and I feel those thoughts as well, as if it's actually happening in real time, eventually I start to believe it to be true. I start to believe that this is who I am. So thoughts and emotions held over time create your identity. Now, here's the thing though, is that what gives us thoughts and emotions? Because you are not your thoughts. You don't know what the next thought is going to be that comes upon us, right? It comes upon you. So, where does our thoughts and emotions come from? Well, it's not random. Most of us often think that it's absolutely random. That's not true. Your beliefs create your thoughts and emotions. Your beliefs create your thoughts and emotion. Because in order to have an emotion, you must feel a certain way about something. There must be a definition or a meaning or something that we're assigning some sort of situation that causes us to feel the way we feel, right? So a thought and emotion, those all come from your core belief system. So here's how it works, breaking it all down. So your core beliefs create the thoughts and emotions that you have, which over time forms the identity. Identity is what influences actions, ideas, perspective, behaviors, habits. This all comes from our identity. And those are the things that produce actual, real, materialistic results in our life. They are the things that grow the business or break down the business, that finds the love or throws away the love. That is what produces results, actions, ideas, perspectives, habits, ways of being, that produces results in our life. And funny enough, whatever you believe to be true, right? So let's say you believe that you are a rich person, you are a six-figure earner. You're going to think and feel that way. Therefore, you can think outside the box of making 50K a year and step into what it'd be like to make 100K a year. And the way you do that is by changing what you believe to be true about yourself. Because as soon as you change the beliefs about yourself, you will start to think and feel in that way. And now you're going to then act in alignment with the result that you want. So as you act in alignment with the result that you want over time, your brain, your beliefs literally influence your brain to go find evidence for that in your external world to reconfirm what you already believe to be true. Okay, so the results that you find will eventually reflect the beliefs that you have about the world. And I'll break that down here even more. So who you think you are, right? Who you think you are is from the past. So what happens basically, especially like when we're really, really young, At a certain age in your life, you were just experiencing life how it is. You're fully present in the moment. But then eventually, around the age of 7, 8, we'll say, you start to form a sense of self. Okay, so this is from your mirroring neurons where you're downloading all information. You're a sponge downloading all the events. So, all your experiences, how society is, how your parents are, your parenting, how the events that happen to you in your life, big or small, the programming that you have that is being downloaded into you eventually then creates your sense of self, who I think I am. And that then becomes your identity. Then what happens is that as soon as this identity is formed, right, we then start to make meaning out of the situations that happened to us in the past. So let's say we believe that we're not worthy. And then we have these events that happen to us in our childhood, like someone stole a cookie from me, or they got the bike and I didn't get the bike. And the way we would give that meaning, how we would define that situation is just because, well, I'm just an unworthy person. It's not the real truth, but our mind makes it our own personal truth. So then we eventually have this sense of self, right? So our identity, your sense of self, and then what happens is we have an ego. An ego is protector of identity. So what the ego will do is say, okay, this is what you believe to be true. I support you unconditionally. So if you believe that you are unworthy, if you believe that you're not good enough, believe that money's not good, then the ego will protect that at all costs because the ego, what it is the glue to your book. So the ego is trying to help you stay alive, stay secure, hold down the sense of self. Only way it can do that is it needs to go back into the past and say, okay, these are the experiences. This is how you're programmed. This is who you believe you are. I need to make sure that happens again in the future in order to keep you safe and secure. So your mind, you will literally focus on things in your present, in your current reality that are coming from the past, just so you can predict, create an idea of what the future will be as well. Okay. And this is how we stay trapped in a loop. So that's a quick breakdown. But the ego, what you'll notice, you notice the ego speaking through you when you feel the need to defend, when you feel the need to constantly react to situations or things happening, when you have to find evidence for it consistently. And the ego will even speak through you as well. Someone who believes they're not worthy, deep down inside, they don't actually want to feel that. But the ego must protect that. So they will have constant thoughts of like, well, I was never good enough to do that. Oh, I probably can't do that. I shouldn't even try. I'm just going to make a fool out of myself. But the real authentic you, your child self, think back to your child self, right? They would actually just want to do the thing itself. But who we think we are now stops us from doing the things that we actually want. And that is the ego right there, trying to protect you, saying, hey, if you go do that thing, we might not know that we're unworthy anymore. And we don't like that because now you're going against the programming, who you believed you are all this time. This is how you functioned and lived in this world. So if that's not you, then I can't protect you. And then we go into fight or flight, right? Safety. So moving on. Who are you really then? Right? If you are not who you think you are, if you are not who you think you are, then who are you really? Because here's what I will say is that who you think you are, what you think about to be true to the world is only limited to what? Your belief systems. Because your beliefs are what produce the thoughts and emotions that you have. Your beliefs are what produce what you focus on in your life, which you find evidence for to reconfirm your current belief system. So, who are you really then? If I am not my thoughts, if I am not what I think about myself, what I think about the world, how I see the world, how I see myself, how I see my current success, if that's not actually me, then who am I? Because remember, the ego, the mind, the identity, the sense of self loves to put labels on itself because then it has something to hold on to, safe and secure. But if that's not actually who you are, then who are you really? Well, here's what I'll say: erase all ideas, all thoughts, all labels, all limitations about yourself, and that is you, the observer, the one experiencing it all, the one in the background who sees it all for how it is, who is plainly and simply just experiencing it all, who wants to be purely in the present moment. That is who you are, the one who is beyond thought. The observer. So think of it like this. Okay, let's say this is you, this box. Inside this box is the identity, who you think you are, and then the ego is inside of that, which protects it. So who you think you are, right, comes from typically past programming, and that creates who you think you are, which is then the ego is trying to find that in the future to keep you stuck in this box. But then the more and more that we get stuck into this box, the less that we see that we are expanded. We are so much more than this little circle that we're stuck in. So you're the one who can change it all. You're the one who can change your beliefs. You're the one who can change your focus, your personal truth. You are the one who is playing the game, who is choosing the character which you use in life. That is who you are. You are the one who has the remote in your hands, who is deciding what character to play to then go use in the game. That is who you are. You are not the character itself. Most people get caught up believing that they are the character. This is the hand that God dealt me. This is the hand that I was given at life. This is how I see the life. This is what makes sense to me in my life. This is what I believe to be true. This has to be the truth. But it's not the full truth. It is your own personal truth. Therefore, you can change it. So here's an example. Okay, higher mind. We'll say higher mind as in the observer, as in the real you, the observer, right? When an event happens in your life, what happens when you use the higher mind is that you observe it, you see it for how it all really is, and then you choose how to move forwards with it in an empowering way. And as you do that, you continue to grow in your life. When you can see outside of yourself, when you can see it all for how it is, you can make new decisions. You can change yourself, like meta thinking, when you can think about your own thinking. Right? When you can truly do that, that is how you move forwards. That is how you make transformation in your life. Ego self has one job. It isn't to grow and change. It is to protect thyself. Therefore, when an event happens, ego self reacts. It reacts. It looks for safety. And what I mean by that is that it's looking to predict what is about to happen based off the limited self, based off your past experiences. And that's why you find yourself in a loop, right? Event, react, we'll say evidence, and then we'll say reconfirm belief. Okay? Event, react, evidence, reconfirm belief. Ego self is looking to just stay alive. So everything that happens around you, you feel like it happens to you, right? You personalize it, you give it meaning, you try to put judgment on it, wherever it may be, all to just align with what you already believe to be true. But full you, real you, is the one who event happens, and I observe it all for how it is. So let's say an event happens where you get cut off in traffic, right? The observer would get cut off in traffic, and then they would take a step back, take a nice deep breath, really observe it for how it is, and then decide how they want to act moving forwards. And you can decide to act in alignment with who you want to be. I want to be the person who is calm and grounded, who has complete control of their emotional state. That's the skill I need in order to grow in sales, in order to grow in my business, in order to be the right leader. Okay, event happens, instead of reacting, because reacting ego self, how they would approach it is they get cut off, instantly react. How dare they do that to me? They think they do. People are so bad. Oh, that person is an a-hole. I can't believe they did that to me. Right? We instantly personalize it. We instantly give it meaning of like attacking. They're attacking me. This is bad. That person is bad. But when we can cut all of that and we can just sit back and observe for how it is, then we can think differently. Oh, well, they might just be in their own personal hell right now. They really meant nothing towards me. They might be late for work. They might be having a baby on the way. I really don't know. Therefore, I don't care. It happened. I'm going to allow it. I'm just going to keep going with my day and enjoy myself. You controlled your state. You did not react to it. That's a great example. So, the number one reminder, okay, this number one lesson for today's training is that you got to really remember who you are and let go of who you thought you are. Because who you might think you are right now in this world is just a collection of events, past experiences, traumas, systems, programs that were put into you, programs as in like belief systems, fears, all of that was put into you, and that is who you think you are, but it's not the real you. It is not the full you. So if you want to level up your life like no tomorrow, where you genuinely feel like you are the creator, that any challenge is actually a blessing because you know how to handle the challenges and you can easily get through them to get to the next level of your success. If that's what you want, you need to remember who you actually are. And I say remember because from day one as a baby, okay, when you are a little baby experiencing this world, you knew who you are. You were the observer. You were experiencing everything. You were following your passions and joys. Everything was curious. Nothing had a label on it. You were fully experiencing all for how it is. But then eventually, right, we create this sense of self and through programming and all these things. And then it created this idea of who we thought we were. But that is the part of you that is limiting the next level of your success. That part of you might have gotten you to where you are right now. So, for example, let's say you grew up in a household where your parents only made $80,000 a year total. Okay, your income is probably going to be around the same as your parents' was because that's normalized. That's what's safe and secure to your nervous system. That's what you believe you can do and handle. But guess what? If that is the truth, then that's the limit to which you can think, act, and feel. That is the limit to which you can think of to expand your own success in business. So you continuously find yourself at those invincible ceilings. But once we can change the beliefs, then we can think and feel differently, and therefore we can act in new ways, which will allow us to break the new ceiling. And as long as we keep our nervous system, our body regulated and feel safe and secure and hold that new state, we will change our entire lives moving forwards. It's just how it works. Your belief system will always support you unconditionally. So if you want to believe that you are not good enough to change your life, you want to believe that you can't change your beliefs, you will be supported in that every single time. So the next lesson here, team, guys, ladies and gentlemen, is how do we create a new character? How do we level up from level 25%? We're making 50K a year where we don't know how to properly love our partners, where we're insecure, we're not healthy. And how do we get to 100%? We got six packs, we've got $100,000 a year, we got $50,000 a month, we've got whatever it is that you desire. How do we hit the next level? Well, remember, this is identity that we're talking about. Okay, you change your identity, you will change the level to which you succeed. So, how you change the character is by changing your identity. And how you change your identity is remembering that it's coming from your thoughts and emotions. So the fastest way you can do the affirmations. Okay, you can look in the mirror, you can start to control your thoughts in a way where you intentionally think differently. But if you don't change that internal wiring that is within the subconscious mind, that is constantly producing 95% of the time other thoughts and emotions that are not in alignment with who you want to be, you'll lose every time. You'll lose every time. So, unless you plan on being a monk and meditating all day long and thinking and feeling that way until it becomes ingrained in who you believe you are, the fastest way to do this is you go to the root. And the root is your core belief system. You change those. And then once you change your core belief system, then you will think and feel differently. And therefore, your identity will change over time. And therefore, your actions change, which produce new results. So, here's an example. Powerful downloads as in powerful, empowering belief systems that will help you keep growing, keep unlocking new success is number one. I'm abundant. I'm connected to all. Everything works out for me. I am free. I am rich. I am worthy. Are these full truths? Remember, belief systems are not all facts and truths, right? One fact, one actual truth, the truth of all truths, right? One truth is that everything changes. That is a full on truth in every single level. Okay? But a belief of I am worthy or I am unworthy is not a truth. That is a belief which can be changed. A belief of I am abundance or the world is lack, the world is evil, the world is good, those are not full on truths. They're not forever truths. They're not solidified. Therefore, if you choose to believe that, it is up to you to do so, but it is not the full truth. You will find it in your personal reality to be true because your brain will find the evidence for it. Okay, your RAS, you will filter out whatever does not serve the belief. So that will be your personal reality. So that will be realistic to you, but it's not the full truth. So let's say you have these powerful downloads. I'm abundant. I'm connected to all. I am free. I am rich. I am worthy. Okay. So when you believe that to be true, you think and feel that way, that creates your identity. And then in your external reality, right? In your external reality, your identity influences your actions, how you show up over time. It influences what you focus on in your life, influences literally what you give meaning to, because nothing has meaning. Everything's just happening. So whatever you give it meaning comes from what you believe to be true. How you define situations, give definitions to whatever's going on, all comes from that as well. When you do that, that then shapes your personal reality. So that shapes the results that you get in your external world, and it shapes how you experience your personal reality, good or bad. Good or bad. So here's another example. Let's say you have disempowering beliefs. Disempowering beliefs of like the world is evil, money is evil, people are bad, I'm not worthy, I'm not good enough. I'm not good enough. Okay, that's your identity. All right, ego will protect that at all costs. Let's go look for evidence. It'll influence our actions. Okay, will make us not take action. It'll influence what we focus on, the meaning, the definitions, everything, and then that gives us the results as well in our personal world, our personal reality. Let me ask you a question. Who's going to succeed at a higher level? The person who feels like they are genuinely abundant, they have everything and more than they need in every single moment to get to where they want to go, who feels that they're genuinely connected to every single thing in life, therefore loss is an illusion. They feel that everything works out for them no matter what, therefore any experience that happens, it does not matter because they always turn it into a good. The one who believes that they are absolutely free, that money does not run their lives, that they are actually genuinely so beyond free. Someone who believes they are rich, someone who believes that they are worthy, that they are worth it, they're absolutely worthy for what they want, and they take all those belief systems and go into the world. Or what about somebody who believes the world is evil, money is evil, people are bad, and they're not worthy? Who do you think is going to have a better personal reality? Who do you think is going to accomplish more success, make more money, have better relationships? One or two? It's obvious, right? It's obvious. So that's all I'm going to say about that. All right, moving down to the next. So, understanding that you change your beliefs through honest, curious, open reflection. You change your beliefs through honest, curious, because curiosity beats fear, and open reflection. And then as you do so, you must ask questions that allow you to step outside of yourself. Here's an example. I believe the world is bad. I believe the world is always suffering. I believe that success is hard. I believe that I must work my guts out to accomplish the next goal. That's why I'm working so many hours. Okay, I catch the system. I know this is disempowering. It doesn't feel good to me. So maybe there's a better belief to have that will fuel me up more. Well, what would I have to believe to be true about making money in order for me to constantly grind myself out and burn out? Well, I must believe that money is hard to make. Ah, okay. Well, is that universally true? Well, it's been true in my personal experience, but is it universally true? I guess not. I could win the lotto tomorrow and that wasn't hard. Construction workers were the hardest workers ever and they're not the billionaires. Shoot, I guess this belief that money is hard to make isn't actually fully true. Wow. But since I believe that to be true, I've been thinking and feeling in that way. I've been taking actions in that way and in alignment with that belief. And that's why I believed it because that's the results I've been getting. But I don't want to believe in that anymore. Then we change the belief. Money is easy to make. Money flows to me. Money is an expression of who I actually am. Right? All these different beliefs that we want. I am abundant beyond measures. I am rich beyond measures. And then again, your beliefs are not all facts, right? Your beliefs can change. So when you find those empowering beliefs that make your life better, those then become the rules for your brain to follow. So your brain then has to go find evidence in your external world to reconfirm the new set of rules. That's just how the mind works. So once you start to believe those new things, then you will find them over time. But here's what you got to be careful of is that so once beliefs are changed, you'll have a new state of being. New state, as in you will start to build a new identity. Okay. So once you have your new beliefs, you'll start to think and feel differently. Your job after you change your beliefs is to hold the new state. Because as you hold a new state, then you take action from that new state, and then you'll start to get new results in your life. You will start to show up differently in your business, in your relationships. You will start to get new results in your life. And then what we have to be careful of, though, and this is where most people fall short, and this is why I'm building a literal program and coaching program and community around this, is because most people what happens is they get stuck as they're trying to do this because the ego screams for survival. And a lot of us live in a survival paradigm. So the ego screams for survival. And what I mean by that is right now, the outer world is reflecting your old belief system. So as you change your state, as you change your actions, your ego recognizes that this is different than this. So it screams because it knows it's dying. So it tries to get you to react. It tries to get you to have these nasty thoughts and worries. Like, hey, look, the results are not here. It's not working out. It's not working out. It's not working out. It's not working out. But the person you want to be like, how you want to think and feel, they don't think that way. So you got to almost be delusional at this point. You got to say, you know what? I'm not going to pay too much attention to that. That is just an old reflection of my old beliefs. And as you continue to hold a new state and act from that new state, you will get new results. Well, then that will shine in your outer world. That will become your new reflection. And then you're in pure alignment. What you believe to be true, right? And then it influences your new thoughts and feelings, okay? Your new identity. And then your actions are coming from that. So it's in alignment with your desired goals, with what you want to accomplish in your life, which eventually will be the actual results in your life. You're in pure alignment. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is a training for today. That is exactly how it all works. How by changing the character, you don't need to change the game. You don't need to quit the game. You simply need to change the character by understanding and remembering who you really are, how powerful you genuinely are. And once you change the character, once you level up to a level 100, you cannot help but beat the game as well. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching. Make sure you leave a like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next training.